who will have to decide whether we take advantage of this rare opening, or I pray God we don't go wasting it. And the ones who are shouting Biafra all over the place and distorting, damaging the alliances that have been forged with this our immediate neighbors in the lower Niger, damaging the alliance that involves the rest of Nigeria in terms of South and Middle Belt, and damaging and distorting the narrative, the winning narrative with which Washington is now working. I plead with all of us to tell whoever they find to tell, whoever can send that message to them, to have them stop. If they do not stop, the project will stop them. That force that broke the backbone of the Fulani is capable of stopping them. We don't want to go to all of what we can do to stop them. But we've sent that message loud and clear that they must stop. You want independence. You have a plan that can deliver that independence. You don't have any plan of your own. But you are distorting the one that is working. Getting people killed. In 50 years, it doesn't lead anywhere because there's no definition of what you're looking for. Where's the map of that Biafra? Have you discussed with the John, the Ogoni, and all the people in that territory? If you have not discussed with them and you go to London, declare yourself a supreme leader over them with the Biafra that includes their land, how do you expect them to relate to it? It is a franchise they are running. I can inform us in this meeting. I know it's being recorded. It is a criminal enterprise they are running. I sat down with Nnamdi Kanu before he began his broadcast. By God's grace, I was the one that collapsed the treason trial of Wazirike. I was the one that collapsed the treason trial of Asari, 2007. When Henry Oka was arrested, again I got involved, and we managed to collapse what they were doing here before they went over to South Africa. And therefore, when Nnamdi was brought in 2015 again, I had to go in there, and we got an order for unconditional release by the lawyer that was there said, better. This Ifeanyi Ejiofor did not even meet me in the case. We already got that order. It was when Buhari refused to obey that order that it became a matter of media showmanship. What Ifeanyi Ejiofor was brought in to do is to say, why are you not releasing the one the court said they should be released? Meanwhile, the judge who gave that order was bundled into the dock by Buhari, and him and his wife said they stole money. Eventually, they say, oh, it was an error. Well, what I'm saying to us now is that Nnamdi fell out with Wazirike in 2012. By the time he was going to start on his own, those who knew what we were doing, and I can name them, was the one that asked him to come to sit down with us to take content from what we were doing for broadcast. Nnamdi came to Nigeria, sat with me for 4 hours in my office, and he rejected every single one of the 8-point strategy that the LNC put down. I want us to understand this clearly, because there are people who are calling frantically now to say, oh, come and make peace. There's nothing we can take from what they are doing. There's nothing this project requires in what they are doing to get to where we're going. He rejected those 8 points of strategy, which for the LNC are the irreducible minima. What are those 8 points? I said to him in that meeting, like we have said to all the other people talking Biafra all over the place, there must be a definite map, a definite footprint of where that territory you seek independence for begins and where it ends. His answer to me was that everybody knows where Biafra is. Whereas we have a definite map, we have taken to the places where, the places where it will matter when they begin to ask those questions. I said to him, if you sit and say you want to restore Biafra that includes, it presupposes the inclusion of all the territories that were in that Biafra, Ijo land, Ogoni land, Epic land, and when you look at this map, you will see that the Igbo, if you look at this map, you will see that the southeast of today, this is southeast. This white portion is the southeast of today. That's the 5 Igbo states are this white the one you see in white. If you compare the lower Niger, if you look at the southeast and the lower Niger of today, you will see that the southeast is not up to 1/3 in the landmass of what is now called lower Niger. That is, this is south-south and this is southeast. And you can see how distant we have become from the international borders and the international waters. We are locked in. And so we said to them, if you have not gone to sit down with the George, the Ogoni, the Anang, the Efik, they are going to disown you. And that is the end of your campaign. At the time we were saying this, 2013, they were still, they hadn't come open to say we can't touch this. But progressively, we have seen it. The Joe came out smoking, the Urobo came out, the Anang, the Efik, everybody, the Ogoni. What are they rejecting? The same people who embraced Lower Niger paradigm and Lower Niger Congress are now rejecting any Biafra that will include their territory. It is in Nnamdi Kanu and the criminality he is operating, because they are seeing it, that if somebody has come to agree with them on how it will be done, and you are there denigrating and damaging what the people are doing, what do you expect them to, how would they relate to the Biafra of you being supreme leader, your deputy, Igbo, supreme leader, all of the people in the, the organogram, the top echelon of the management of that organization are Igbo. How do you expect that the other people will be looking at it? Then you come talking to Chubu Okike Abiyama. How does it sound in the ear of the Ijo and the Ogoni? If they all disown you, are you not back to where you are in 1967? That is the second point of the 8. The third one is the matter of the constitution. What is your plan for this instrument by which Nigeria is occupying that territory? It is that constitution that brought 82 division to Enugu. Is that constitution that brought all the police to our communities? Is that constitution that put the Bori camp in Port Harcourt? What are you going to do about all of that? That constitution criminalizes you for even complaining. How much more taking any steps? You can be shot aside. What are you going to do about that? What did he answer me? Oh, I didn't tell you what he answered in the second one. He said, when I talked about the need to sit down with the other constituents in that lower Niger to agree on bidding for independence together. He said, no, those people do not understand what we're talking about. They spoiled the first one. When we begin to do Biafra, they will come along with us. That was his answer to me. In the matter of constitution, he said, oh no, you guys are still talking about Nigerian constitution. It is Biafra we are doing. The fourth one, I said to him, in 1967, our people were feeling this way, and we wanted to leave the union. But what happened? Nigeria was able to assemble an alliance. The caliphate assembled an alliance that came against us. And where did that leave us? We were isolated in this setting here. We were isolated, as I've shown us before, by that alliance that involved the rest of the country, including Niger Delta, that went with them down the road. And so today, if we say, oh, we are fed up again, we are angry again, we want to leave now, if they come at us, we will be, from what you are doing, you are alienating all of those who should be with us for us to have any chance. You are insulting and abusing and denigrating all of these people. You hear what he says about them every day. You hear what he says about the Yoruba. You hear what he says about Danjuma. So in all of that, we said to him, you cannot, if we don't have a plan that will take down that alliance of 67, we'll be right back to where we were in 1967 if anything goes wrong going forward. The fourth, that's number 4, the matter of taking down, defeating the alliance of 1967 ahead of anything going wrong. The next one is this matter of using the name tag Biafra for the campaign. We can call it self-determination campaign. We can call it independence campaign, so that we can get started in having a map. We put a map on the table, and we begin to do the things that will enable that map become the independent territory. So we said in the matter of using the Biafra name tag, if you say Biafra restoration, you have already lost 3/4 of the people that you should be talking to. They don't want to hear the rest of your story. Whereas they are prepared to discuss independence with you because they want to be independent of Nigeria. We have already secured them. It took us 6 years of going from one nationality to the other. In these 6, we went to the Oba of Benin because he was the late radio. He was the permanent secretary in Gowon's cabinet office that went with them to Aburi. He was the one that took the minutes of the Aburi meeting on behalf of the federal government. And Enohoro leading us, we went to him to make this proposition. It took about 6 months before they came with their answer because they looked at everything and said, if this is what has to happen, we are in. He gave us 2 people that went with us to the Wari, to the Olu in Wari. Again, he's late. And the Olu set up his own committee of people who looked at the leaders of thought. By the time they finished, we went to the Amayana bus and then all the way to the Obong's place in Calabar, consulting. It took 6 years, but each of them had to decide in their calmness of mind, consulting with their best brains at home and abroad to say, this is the proposition that have been brought to us about how we can retrieve our lands and our assets from Nigeria and then going into a federation of 6 blocks that will be 70 million people and everybody in the full right to self-determination in that arrangement, in which again, our neighbors to the left and to the north, that is the Yoruba and the Middle Belt, in an alliance that will not require us to carry all our luggage and begin to run to one part or the other. The alliance, allows you to stay where you are. We work out all the other things about how people will document themselves, just like Portugal and Germany and France doing a European Union in which you can function from any part. That's the kind of thing. So the assets of our people in these places are not in any danger because our hands are on the pulse of what will happen. And so he says that the Yoruba, in that matter of what to do to truncate the alliance of 1967, he said, the Yoruba are not unreliable. They will play prank. The Middle Belt, they were the ones that shot us, they killed us in the past. Therefore, so he doesn't have any plan of how he will require them in anything he will have to do to get his Biafra. Then the question of what is the mechanism for consummating this campaign to become independent? The LNC has a plan that will get to referendum, an orderly movement to where it becomes referendum, UN-backed referendum. He said, no, nobody should talk about referendum. That if anybody talks about referendum, they will in fact kill the person. If we go to their websites and their broadcasts, we'll still find those materials there where they were threatening anybody who talks about referendum. What was this reason? He said Nigeria will rig referendum. For somebody, I was showing the documents from the UN about how the referendum will come. That it is not Nigeria doing referendum, it is the UN Security Council that will mandate the referendum we're looking for. The people who will do it already are in discussion with us. The LNC have been inside the UN since 2012, physically. So when we have business in the UN, we go in there and go to the office we want since 2012. But is that the kind of thing we should be coming to shout about or tell everybody about? No diplomat will have a second meeting with you if you went telling what happened in the first meeting. But our people have become vuvuzela. They just blow trumpet all over the place. They pass through somebody's window, they snap picture to say they have gone there to talk with that person. How do you expect that same person to come dealing with you the next morning? And so that is the one of a referendum. It was only in 2017 at the meeting in Kuje, at the time we went with the Ndizugomuna delegation led by Soludo and Patu Tomi. It was in that Kuje meeting that Nnamdi accepted for the first time that he will go the way of referendum. He told that delegation that came to Kuje what transpired between us in 2013. And he said that all of those things I told him, that he didn't understand them as at that time, but now he understood them, therefore they will go with referendum. In less than 24 hours, he had changed from that position. Meanwhile, it was that commitment to going through the referendum route that was taken back to government that became the basis of him being released from incarceration on a political arrangement other than the court order. And so that is number 6. We now come to the one of the transitioning. The transitioning. What is the mechanism for interfacing with the existing constitutional order? What's the mechanism for interfering with the existing governance order? He says, oh no, that the LNC has a plan that will work the way the South African apartheid constitution was taken down in 1990. The government was forced to accept that the apartheid constitution could not remain the basis of the union. And, some meeting of what will happen then took place, Kodesa. We have done more than 90% of the work that is required for the kind of arrangement we want. We already know, all of us know what we want. And so the task is getting us to the point where the government will have to capitulate to the fact that that constitution can no longer be basis of union. And so there will be an orderly movement that will have dates with international, supervisors of it, that's the UN, so that we don't get into Sudan, because we don't get into Somalia, because we're running away from Nigeria. And so he says, no, it is conquer and occupy. That, the conquer and occupy means cataclysm. They're going to infuriate people to the point where people pour out to the street. When they kill some people, then the whole place will be overwhelming, and then they will jump into the space and then seize the place. Then everybody else will come to deal with them in that situation. I said to them, if we saw it happen in 2015 when people poured out to the street. What happened? They got killed. If not for the intervention of the LNC at the time, if our people got to know how close we came to calamity, many of them would be frightened. Buhari gave an order. The battalion in Onitsha was ordered to shoot them. But before they got there, that instruction was intercepted and things were done from high places. That battalion disobeyed that order. Buhari court-martialed the whole battalion and sent them to the war front in Maiduguri. Before he could replace them with the people he picked from Chad and Niger, they have a multi-regional task force in the Boko Haram war theater. That was where he selected the battalion that will replace the one from Onitsha. In the 1 week or so it took them to make all that arrangement. I had to go to Asaba. Achuze called the leaders of all the Biafra groups that assembled those people that were on the street. It was just because we beat them. We beat them in their plan. That was why our people were not killed in the numbers that they had intended as at that time. And then 2007 came again. We went and worked out what became the release, and then he came out to breach everything that was agreed. And then we saw the outcome when the Python dance came. We saw people who were parading in military fatigue without gun. We saw him marching in a guard of honor with his father standing right behind him in that guard of honor. If you were president of Nigeria and somebody had hundreds of people in military camouflage, taking salute and doing all kinds of things, who knows if guns turn up? That was how they came into the Python dance. And so it was now it's a matter of that cataclysm that he thought was a strategy. That cataclysm was overtaken. If the day our people get to know the number of people that got killed in that Python, in that operation that day, so the 28 people that died in the compound were the ones who got to the compound. What of the ones who set out from all kinds of places who never got there? The least estimate we got from all the reports that came to us in that period, no one was less than 300 in number, because people closed their shops. Broadcasts were happening in London for people to go there and defend their leader. Meanwhile, he did not sleep in that house. Has anybody bothered to find out how his parents left the place? Assuming that he was smart and he jumped through the window. Did the mother climb the ceiling? Did the father go underground? I can report to us because I happen to know. He did not sleep in that house. The people who came to guard him died. The others who set out, who were being asked to go and defend him, were commandeered into the bush and killed. More than 300 of them. But our people don't ask any questions. So the matter of orderly engagement with the existing constitutional order, he prefers cataclysm, but the NNC prefers an orderly, which this force majeure is going to activate. That's why we're giving 90 days for everybody to make up their minds the kind of transition we have to get into. And that's why it took the whole year, the whole of last year, to discuss with those who will be superintending over it, those who have bigger guns than the Fulani. Then the final one is the international imperative. What is it that you have to do to get the foreigners who stood with the enemy the other time to be on our own side? This is what the LNC has done. We've gone to sit down. I was in the oil industry. We've gone to sit down with the owners of the oil and gas assets. We have secured the interest, the economic interests of the powers that be in the place. As far back as 2008, 2009, these discussions had gone to where decisions have been reached. We have also gone to work out what will happen at the Security Council by finding what will be of interest, because as at that time, you can be sure Boko Haram was already in place. It was Boko Haram that brought, as at that time, they were already doing all kinds of things. And we said, look, we're going to be able to find, we went to the military. Anybody who wants to verify how America read the decision they are carrying out today should Google something titled Nigerian Unity in the Balance. It's a June 2013 report by the military to Washington, telling Washington that there was nothing anybody could do to reverse what the owners of Nigeria are doing to dismantle the bad arrangement the British imposed on them. Go to page 50. Again, the title, Nigerian Unity in the Balance. The Army War College in Pennsylvania was telling Washington that what we were doing was irreversible. And so we already knew that it was a matter, it was the only setback we had was when Obama came in and Hillary and John Kerry, whatever it was they were doing with Buhari that made him president. We lost all those years, but immediately they were being removed. We went back to the people discussing with us. That's how it became easy for us to get to all the departments that had to work together at this time, because they had a file, they had their economic file, they had their security file on what we were doing in the place, and their military already took a position on what the US should do, which is where they finally gone now. And so that matter of the international imperative, because if you do not work out what will happen to the assets of those who own assets here, they are going to do exactly what they did in 1967. So those are the 8 points. Any one of them you do not settle, you may fail. You are most likely to fail. You can settle 1, 2. It's like a vault with 8 locks. If you find the key to 3 locks or 5 locks, you are still in the vault. So we decided to look for the keys to all the 8 locks. Some of the keys are in the hand of Ogoni. Some of the keys are in the hand of Yoruba. Some of the keys are in Washington. The other key in New York. We said these are the 8 keys we need to apply in order to open this cage so that we can get away from it. And then they rejected those 8 things, and that was, as at that 2013, I removed his phone number from because I came to the conclusion that he was not looking for freedom for our people. Whatever else he was looking for was not freedom for our people. I didn't know he would even do all the things he did subsequently. And so all of these fiery brokers of, asking our people to go and do this, whether no single thing can become independence in it in the manner it has been done. Rather, it is guaranteed for failure, because every single thing we need is being damaged by what they are doing. When you lose the alliance in the immediate lower Niger, you lose the alliance in the lower Niger with the Middle Belt and Yoruba that is now isolating the enemy. You lose the narrative in Washington. As I speak with you, and I can confirm to you, and in the coming days, our people are going to hear it in the most inconvenient way, because I'm going to speak of it from a government podium in Washington. As I speak with you, there is no single official of the United States government that is in any form of discussion with Nnamdi. Everything you have heard concerning how they went to Congress and how they went to all the other places are photoshopped. Not a single official of the US government in any department is in any form of meeting with them. The same thing at the UN, the same thing at the EU. And the people they are doing this Photoshop and pretending they are discussing with and throwing their names all over the place, they get back to us to say, is there nobody who can stop this madness? Is there nobody who can arrest this situation? They are distorting whatsoever, because the basis of the US intervention is not that, are they coming to discuss Biafra with you? They are coming in to draw this line, to get these people to move away from our space. If the union is ended in the manner we have pursued for 21 years now, if the constitution is taken down and the union is ended and this line is drawn and these 3 blocks have their constitutions to march away with, What else are we looking for with the UN referendum? What else are we looking for? We told them the point at which we can safely bring back that name. After the Charter of Relationship had been signed between us and our neighbors in the Niger Delta, the Charter of Relationship will take us to where we are now heading to referendum. In one meeting, we can decide the name by which this territory will get into its independence. Ijo already committed to proposing that name Biafra at that time. These are the things we have explained 1 million times to them. But what did Nnamdi do with all this information? The movement for New Nigeria, that the MNN Alliance, we deliberately call this movement for New Nigeria. This is the map of that New Nigeria. It is actually movement for no Nigeria. And I told somebody I thought was on the same side of the battlefield with me that we had to call it that name in order to evade the detection of the enemy when we get into trouble. What did he do with that information? He used that same radio to broadcast to his people that the LNC was set up by the Fulani and the Caliphate and the federal government, financed to prevent them from getting Biafra. Knowing fully well that if we began to tell the same people that it's not so, he is overseas and we are here. He wanted us to blow our cover. He wanted us to say that we are doing the same thing as he's doing so that we could get into trouble, because the system was looking for who was, uprooting the foundation in this manner. They didn't know. The closest anybody came to finding us out was that 2005 U.S. Intelligence report. Otherwise, both Britain and the Caliphate didn't know where we were going in the plan we had. If anybody thought it was a casual, it wasn't something we had a clear, this is a 20-year plan. It's something that is in 5 phases. Every single thing you see here had been executed. This is where we were going. If you can read, this thing had been in print for over 11 years. If you can read, you see the outcome. We were heading to the recovery of our sovereign territory. And if you saw this is the summary of the whole plan. Take down this constitution to land us where there's no union. And this brown portion is this. The Yoruba will get their own, these people will get their own, and all of us. So this was what we set out to do, and we have done every step of what we needed to do to get to where to be the successful terminal point. And so I'm just informing us that our immediate answer to the security challenge staring us in the face is to launch that force majeure and make the presence of the Fulani illegitimate, not only in our space, but in the spaces adjoining us, and to bring the US to be able to step into that field right immediately and to activate our right to self-defense. And we invite you to please help do whatever we require to get on it sooner than later. I think the moderator, please.
Thank you.